Now, Peach seems to be more like, yeah, let's go and play with the puppies. And then Hunk is kind of like very serious sometimes. It's like likes his toys, but he still engages with them. Tell
Yeah.
me what that's like with them.
So
Puppy.
Hunk has always been he's just the rule enforcer. He's the drill sergeant. Like and I think that's because I got Hunk when he came into rescue at a couple days old. The mom had passed away,
Mm,
and so the guy that had the litter, I guess he tried bottle feeding them uh, regular canned milk
mm,
and like the condensed milk, and one of the puppies died, and so he reached out to the rescue and said, could you please take them, they're going to die if I keep them. So the whole litter went, there were 6 left in the litter, they went to our bottle feeders until they were 4 weeks old, and then that was back when I was still only doing 3 at a time.
mhm.
So they said, well, we'll give you 3, and I was like, okay, yay. And the day I got the 3, I Hunk's name was, they were actually the Talladega litter, and Hunk's name was Daryl, and I never once called him Daryl. Like, I even had to think just now, like, what was his name again? It was like Dwight, Daryl, and Reba. Yeah. And I never called him Daryl because the second I got him, I was like, look at this baby Hunk. Oh my
Aw.
gosh, he's a baby Hunk. His legal name's Hunk Ochunk, though. But
Go Chunk.
so he, grew up. Like, as soon as I decided I'm keeping him, I was on to getting another litter. And so he
Mhm.
grew up playing with them. And then as he hit about a year, he started realizing, like, crap, she's getting more and more, like, bigger litters now, and they're kind of invading my space. I should probably do something because he wants to engage. Like, he
Yeah.
has the option. Like, I'm like, Hunk, do you want to see the puppies? I don't, because they're not in the same room with him. They're in a separate room. So he has the choice to walk down those stairs with me or to stay up here. I'll keep you safe up here, or you can come down.
Yeah.
He wants to be with them, but he also wants them to respect his boundaries, and he's very vocal about it. And
Um,
the first time he did it, I was just like, I didn't even know you made noise. Like, he rarely used to bark. Now he's like, hey, I should bark because Peach never barks. So he thinks he has to protect Peach now. So now he barks at everything. Like, you didn't bark before, Peach. So yeah, he's definitely the, I want to see you. I want to be around you, but I want you to do what I want to do and be calm. And now that we're just down to 2, his playful personality is coming out. Just today, the puppies were up here running around, and Hunk walks over to one and just kind of like paws at their face, like, hey, you're not paying attention to me. And I'm like, how weird, they're not paying attention to you.
oh my gosh. So it's you could see the conflict in him
Yeah.
in the videos.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he wants to play so bad, but then he also is like, no, you must respect me and get out of my space.
This is my toy. I'm
Yeah,
showing it to you, but no, it's mine. You cannot have
right.
it. It's
Yeah,
mine.
only I play with it.
Yes. So, okay, so did you get him before you had Peach?
I did.
Okay, so Hunk is about 6 then?
Uh, he's 5. He'll be 6 next October.
Oh, nice. So tell me about Peach.
So Peach came to me March 17th of 2023,
Mm,
and the very next, she was on the youth list, and I actually had the Simpson litter at that time, and they were very crazy puppies. There were only 6 of them, but they were very all over the place. And the rescue leader sent me a picture of Peach. And I like to see my puppies through to the end. I like to meet the adopters. I like to stay in contact with them. And so it's really hard when I have to send them to another foster, because then I'm like, I don't get to make that connection with that adopter. And a lot of them, like, the other fosters are great about saying, like, hey, she really loves these puppies, we maybe update her. And they're great about it, but I
awesome.
just don't think it's the same. I like to keep them till the end. And so she sends me this picture, and I was like, "Oh, why? You're killing me." Like, Peach had the saddest face, and her ears are cropped so close to her
Mhm.
head. And while she was in the shelter, like, she didn't have them perked up at all. So it literally looked like they scalped her head with her ears back. And I was like, oh, what did they do to this poor dog? Like, she's so sad. Oh my God. And so I was like, okay, when does she come? And she goes, you didn't even ask me to find a foster for your other puppies. I said, I'll figure it out. I'm trying to save this one. Like, when does she come? She's like, tomorrow. I'm like,
Alright.
okay. Oh no, yeah. So that was on Friday the 16th of March. And then so she came March 17th, this Saturday. The next day was Sunday. And at like 8 a.m., starts popping babies out. I'm
Oh,
like,
man.
you are the quickest turnaround I've ever seen. Normally I have weeks to get to know my moms before they pop, but you were just like, let's go.
Wow.
So that was, and Peach gained a lot of followers because one of the other fosters was like, you should go live on TikTok and film her birth. And I'm like,
Yeah.
no. The last mom that I had literally had 5 puppies die
Oh,
during labor. I'm like, I was traumatized. I'm not trying to traumatize other people. Like, I said, plus that's going to look terrible. And she goes, no, Chrissy, that was a very, because obviously I've birthed lots of puppies. That was a rare situation that I've never had happen. And I like that litter, I was like calling the rescue leader, crying, going, I don't want any more to come out. Like, I'm scared to
yeah.
death more coming. Like, I don't know what's going on or why this is happening, but this is bad.
Yeah.
And so I was like, that was the last experience I had. So that was in my head. And I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen. And she's like, you just have to get over it. You can't predict what's going to happen. Just go live. And I'm like, okay, well, if people are mean to me, you better kick. She's like, I'll mod for you. She's like, I've got 3 mods ready to go. I'm like,
I
okay.
love it.
And of course I'm like, I've gone live a couple times at this point. I'm not expecting many people to watch it.
Yeah.
And then I'm not paying attention to the live because I'm paying attention to puppies popping out and making
Right.
sure they're okay. And then every now and again I'm looking back going, oh wow. And my dad's texting going, Jesus, did you know you have so many people in your live? He's like, it's like 228,000 people or something. I'm like, what?
Holy crap.
I'm like, no, Dad, I think you added an extra zero. It's like 25,000 or 28,000. And he was like, well, I'm just saying it's a lot. I'm like, okay, but it's not that many. It's like not as many as you just said.
Mhm.
But it was great. And there was tons of viewers. And luckily the people with bad comments were getting kicked out. And
Mhm.
all was going well till puppy number 6 came. And as you know, I have the phone on a tripod. I'm not looking at it. I'm watching Peach, and I'm I don't interfere when my moms are giving birth. Like, they know what they're doing. I'm
Right.
just there in case something looks wrong. And if I need to step in, I'll step in and help. But I don't want to stress them out and like feel, hey, what's going on down here? Like, let me get my hands in here and touch your puppies and be in your way. Like, they know what they're doing. I'm not a dog. I'm not gonna get in their way and stress them out. So I don't interfere, and I gauge everything based on the moms. And so number 6 starts to come out, and I'm like, I have to double take because I'm like, crap, this one's breech. Some breech are fine, some it's a struggle. So I'm like, I hope this is okay. So I'm like, I don't even think to turn my phone because at this point I'm like, everything's been fine so far. It's probably just breech and it'll be fine. And he comes out breech. Peach takes the sack off, and I'm like, okay. And she starts licking and licking, and I'm like, okay, good. She's tending to it. If she wasn't, then I'm in trouble. But then all of a sudden, she just did this like nudge and quit and like pushed
Mm.
the puppy to the side, and I was like, crap. And so I immediately realized what was going on. And I took my phone and I pointed it at the ground. And I was like, I am not having a bunch of people judge me on what I'm about to do next because I'm about to shake this puppy and try and make it breathe.
Yep.
Like, I have to. I have
Yep.
to try and revive it. And it looks really, really not nice. So
Mhm.
I put the phone aside and I was working on this puppy for probably 25 minutes before I picked it back up, and I was like devastated. I couldn't even say anything. Like, I'm gonna
Yeah.
cry again because it's just awful, like
Yeah.
it happens, but it still
Yeah.
sucks.
It
Um,
totally sucks.
so yeah, so it's just hard because you're like, I'm trying to save them, not let one go. So I'm like,
Exactly.
let me do all I can. And when you can't save it, it's like, well, dang, could I have done something else? And
Yeah.
the rescue leader is great. She always is like, Chrissy, you did everything you could. Cause I'm like an overthinker, and I'll be like, I didn't do enough. I should have done it longer. And she's like, no,
Yes.
you can't. And like, she has to bring me back to reality sometimes. Cause I'll spin on it and be like, well, this is terrible. And everything is terrible now.
Right.
But
Yeah.
you know, it happens and it sucks. But when I picked that phone back up, boy, did I come to some nasty, nasty. Like there were people for probably a month after Peach gave birth that were hate commenting on every post I made about how I
Those
was a puppy
are hard.
killer and I let this puppy die. And I'm like, so I
Mhm.
blocked them. They would come with new accounts and
Yeah,
you're a puppy killer, you're a puppy killer. And I'm like, what is wrong with people? Like,
exactly.
I literally was trying to save the puppy.
Exactly.
So it sucks,
Yeah,
but it comes with the territory, you know?
it does come with the territory, and it is really unfortunate
Yeah.
um, that people are so just nasty to other people. I've
Yeah.
had a teeny tiny bit of hate. I don't have anywhere near amount of followers that you do, but it is it's ridiculous.
It
It's
is.
absolutely ridiculous. And
It is.
the job that you do as a foster mom for all these puppies, and you're you know right there with mom when she's giving birth on all of these
Mhm.
pups. Amazing. And the work that you do is like, I don't see any of these people lining up going
Right.
to work, rolling up their sleeves in the poop, in the pee,
Yeah.
in the trenches and saving lives, really, literally saving lives. I mean, you guys getting puppies in or moms in that are just going to be killed just because of who they are and where they were found is that's insanity, but it goes
But
on.
it's mainly because they're pregnant and
Yeah.
the shelters can't afford to have
Hmm.
a litter of puppies because it's expensive, you know?
It's
That's
very,
a lot of mouths to feed.
right. And they're gonna have to foster that mom out, and
Right.
the pain continues on and on. So
Well, and there's a lot of complications. Like the lion litter mom, something was going on and like she started bleeding and I'm like, "Oh, she's going into labor today." But it was like a little bit of blood, which is
mhm,
normal. But I'm like, "Oh, we're gonna have a puppy in a minute." And like hours go by and nothing happens. And I'm texting the rescue leader. I'm like, "I think she's going into labor." And I'm waiting and
mm,
I'm waiting, and then no more blood, nothing happens. And so she's like, "Okay, well let's sit and see what maybe it'll kick. Maybe she'll go into labor." And I'm like, I don't know what's going on. Like this is really weird. Like maybe it was just I don't know. The
yeah.
next morning, more blood. I text the rescue leader. I'm like, more blood, no puppies, more blood, no puppies. And she's like, go to it was a Saturday. So we now have an emergency vet
Oh gosh, yeah.
visit that we can't go to our regular vet now. We have to
Right.
go to the emergency on-call vet. So I rush her there. They do the ultrasound and they're like, oh God, she has 10 puppies in there. And we only see heartbeats for like 5. And I'm
Oh.
like, oh, so then we've got to, sedate her and do a
Mhm,
C-section and she's got to be treated for sepsis. And now we have 5 puppies
mm,
and and all these vet bills that were outrageous. Like no shelter could have
totally.
covered that. Like that mom and those puppies would have died. And this was the dog that was the owner that said, I'm coming to get her, which thank God he didn't because
Mhm,
she would have died because he probably wouldn't have saw the signs that I saw where I was like, something's wrong with this. She's not going into labor. He probably would have just sat there and waited and waited. And she should have had her puppy the week before I took her. And we didn't know. And they said that she had been bred so many times that her uterus quit, like something was wrong and it wouldn't contract. And
oh,
so she
wow,
couldn't go into labor and push them out
wow.
because her uterus was broken. And I'm like, that's awful. Like
Yeah,
she would have died.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
So,
Exactly, like, yeah, the work that you do is
yeah.
life-saving. Definite lifesaver for sure.
Thanks. Well, it
I'm
takes a village. It does take a village.
totally, absolutely, but, you're that integral foster mom
Yeah.
doing just doing the work, like, just getting in there, literally. Um, yeah, I mean, I couldn't even, I could see I would be a failed foster parent, like, across the board. So I'd wanna keep everybody, you know? I mean,
It's hard.
yeah, I guess like you say, people will say that to you, and you're like, after like a couple litters, Maria, you're like, okay, go.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like the first litter, my daughter had to have this one dog that was her soul dog, and then I met Hunk, and Hunk was my soul dog, and then Peach decided
Wait,
I was her soul person because
yeah, but how do you decide?
I mean, I fell in love with her the day I had her. And I told the rescue leader, like, we have to get her adopted immediately because I want to keep her. And I'm already over the city limit in dogs between each. I have three kids. They each have a dog. I had Hunk. So that's 4 dogs. And the city limit's 3. I'm like, I can't keep any. I don't want to draw attention and get in trouble and then not be able to foster. And so I was like, we got to get her adopted. So she put her up for adoption. She got adopted. I was so excited, but sad. And that adopter had her less than 24 hours and brought her back.
Holy crap!
Yeah.
What the
I was like, this is how I know Peach is meant to be because Peach is an angel. Peach does nothing wrong.
I know, like what the hell was that?
Well, this girl, she was super nice. And she told me before she left, like she has a 10-month-old dog. And I said, well, keep in mind, Peach just got done with a litter of 8 puppies. You need to give her some space. She's going to need time to decompress. It's a new environment. Like there's a lot of things that you need to give her space for because she just got done with puppies. She's moving to a new place. Let her have space. Kennel the puppy, give her time to bond with you, but keep the puppy out of her face. Like for at least a couple days.
Yeah.
And she didn't listen. So the first night, Peach was eating a bone on the couch and the puppy's jumping in her face. So Peach did what Peach does and she mommed it and she nipped and didn't bite, didn't do anything to harm the puppy, just said, get out of my face.
Right.
And so she's like, oh my God, is she aggressive? And I'm like, no, she's teaching the dog to get out of my face.
Yeah.
So 25 more messages. She's like, okay, we've got it. We're good. I'll figure it out. Next morning, I wake up to like 10 more messages talking about I fed Peach. The puppy ran up to eat out of her bowl and she nipped the puppy this time, but the puppy's fine. And I'm like, just bring her back.
Yeah.
We're done. This isn't going to work.
Right.
Yeah, I wanted her and now I want her back. Like,
yeah. Now I need to save her from you.
Right. You don't speak Peach. I speak Peach.
You should just only have your one dog, period.
Right. Keep your little dog. And it's a little dog too. So I was like, take your little dog.
Exactly.
Plus, like Peach is such a mom. And I honestly think like she probably wouldn't have been happy. This is her dream house because she gets to be a mom to every litter. And like she loves it. Like, well, she was a little less enthusiastic with this litter because there's 11 and this litter doesn't respect boundaries at all. But she so loves being with every puppy. Like that makes her, when I'm like, do you want to see the puppies? She's like, yes, let's go.
Yeah. Yeah. She's so cute. She is a good mom. I mean, I didn't know the whole story, obviously, but yeah, I was like, Peach, I think she would make a great mom if she wasn't already. And yeah, so she already was. So that's awesome.
The best part of Peach's story is she didn't speak any English when I got her. Like she's very perfect dog and she did not understand anything I said at all. Like I was Googling, how do you say this in Spanish to get her to listen to me because I didn't know how to communicate, because I would be like, she would just watch me, but not know what I was saying or what I wanted. And she started after a few months, she would pick up on my gestures. Like I do a lot with my hands when I'm talking to my dogs. So she was quick to pick up on the gestures and quick to watch what Hunk did. And I think that's part of why they bonded so much is because she had no idea what I was saying. And so she just watched whatever he was doing and do it. And like, oh, she likes it. She said he did this and she liked it. So I'm going to do this and she'll like it. Yeah. And so, but now after having her for almost 2 years, it's been within the last a year, she's actually knows English. Like, I'm like, I know for a fact she understood me this time. Like, I know she didn't look to Hunk for this cue. She actually, so I'm like so excited. I'm like, I taught her how to speak English.
I love it. That's hilarious.
Yes.
That's so funny. There was a dog, I used to volunteer back in the day in the SPCA over in Tampa Bay, and there was a dog that came in, and the dog came in from Miami, and like nobody could communicate with the dog, whatever. And one of the guys spoke Spanish, and boom, and of course he got that dog.
Yeah.
He's like, "Yep, that's my dog for sure,"
Yeah.
But
Love it.
it's so true, we don't think about that. We think, "Oh, everybody speaks English. Dogs, cats, that's
Right.
fine."
Yeah. Well, and the only reason I thought of that was because I had a previous dog. Um, she was the mom of my mystical creatures litter, and
I love that.
when
We have to talk about the names. Go
I
ahead.
will. I will. So, um, so when she was done with her puppies, because there were 10 in that litter, when she was done, I asked another foster if she would take her, and she was like, "Yeah, sure." And that foster fell in love with her and ended up keeping her. And I was like, "Hey, just so you know, like I've had a real problem with this mom because like she's smart, but she doesn't understand me. Like she doesn't listen at all. Like I don't know if she's deaf or what, because like she'll stare at me and just not move. Like I'll be like sit and she won't budge. I'll try and push her butt down, won't budge. Like she will not do anything I say. And so after having her for a couple months, the other foster goes, I started Googling Spanish words and saying the commands in Spanish, and she now does all the things that I ask. And I'm like, no. So when Peach didn't listen, I was like, Google Spanish words.
I love it. You're like, I am prepared for you.
Yeah, we know. I know
I
what your trick
know
is.
what to do. Duolingo.
Yeah.